Okay, so in this week's guitar lesson, we're going to take a look at a simple and fun little blues that you can play by yourself. You don't need a jam track for this, and this is a great way to practice the concepts we're going to talk about in this video. So we're going to be learning how to play a blues in the key of E, and when you play in the key of E, there's often these open strings, and by open strings, I mean, you know, strings that you're not fretting. So you have licks that have open strings in them. And so what do you do with those if you want to play in the key of F or in the key of G? How do you take these licks and transpose them? I'm going to show you a really simple little formula for that. So we're going to start off by learning how to play the blues in the key of E, and then we'll transpose it and play it in the key of F. And once you're in the key of F, it's closed position. That means you can play it anywhere. It's a great way to practice sort of seeing the fretboard and relating it all back to really one chord shape. So I've got the tablature for this composition. I'm going to explain it all in this video, so you can watch the video and understand where it all comes from. I'll show you how to play it all. But if you want the tab PDF file that you can print out, and also access to the on-screen tab viewer, which has the tab and the video on the screen at the same time, you can loop playback, you can slow down playback and all that. There's no talking in that. That's sort of a fast track to learning that. You can get those extra materials for this lesson by going to activemelody.com and doing a search for ML115. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to learn how to play this little blues composition in the key of E. Oh, I haven't showed you what it sounds like, so let me just play it. So this is what it's going to sound like, and then we'll transpose it and we'll get into all that, but this is it. And notice the repetition. There's a lot of repeated licks here. That's the call. This is a response. Response. Then I get to the 4 chord. See the repetition? Now we're going to the 5 chord. Back to the 4. Back to the 1. And see, there's that repeated lick. But there's all those open strings in that, and they sound so good, but you know, I want to be able to play them in other keys, and we're going to get into that. So let me show you this blues. Since there's a lot of repeated licks in this, this will be pretty quick and easy. So we're going to start off, obviously we're playing over an E chord, and I want you to just get in your head, even though I never actually played this chord, the E chord, just sort of picture that chord, and then I want you to picture the minor pentatonic scale pattern 1, because that's where all these licks are coming from. So look at this. There's your minor pentatonic scale pattern 1 for the key of E. That's the E minor pentatonic scale. And that may not be something you've thought about when you're playing licks like, you may not have even thought of that being the minor pentatonic scale pattern 1. I know I didn't for years. I just thought of those as sort of licks down here on the fretboard, but I never connected. Oh wait, this is the same as, right? It's the same thing. We've just slid it down so that the nut is replacing where, you know, your index finger would go if you were playing. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out because I struggled with that myself, and I'm sure somebody else out there has. So the first lick is happening between the second and first string. We're going to start by playing the open B string, and it comes in, this is important, when to start the lick. It's coming in, if you're counting this in, it comes in on the and of 4. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2, 3, 4. So and of 4 is where you'd hit that open B string, the first one. So we start there, and then we go to this 3rd fret. Now a lot of what we're doing here in the beginning happens on this 3rd fret. So it starts on the 2nd string, and then we're going to go 3rd fret, 2nd string. And notice I push that slightly sharp. I'm going to do that for the 2nd string and the 1st string. And then we go to the 1st string. So that's the 1st. And then we're going to go. So we're going to push that one slightly sharp, 3rd fret, 1st string, back to open. So just get that first. Now after that, we're going to go. So we're going to come back to the 2nd string and play 3 open. So that's your first little phrase is, and it comes in, remember, on the and of 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that sets you up for it. just remember when you're playing these notes on the 3rd fret to push them slightly sharp. It sounds so boring and lame if you don't. Listen to this. So robotic versus much more soulful that way. Now after that, we're going to slide into pattern 2 of the minor pentatonic scale for E. So I'm going to do this slide. It happens on the 3rd string. I start on the 2nd fret, slide up to the 4th fret, 3rd fret, 2nd string, and then watch this. Open 1 string. And then I'm going to slide back down to the 2nd fret. So we have, and then that gets me out of it. That's the conclusion to that lick. So it's open 3rd string, hammer onto the 1st fret, and then an upstroke on the 1 string, the open E string. Lots of open notes there. Now after that, I'm gonna go into the shuffle, the old shuffle. So this is the call, and then the response to that is this. And the response is always the same, and actually the call is pretty much always the same. I'm repeating a lot of this. So when I come down to that shuffle, it's 2nd fret, 5th string, and then the open 6th string. It's just like a power chord, just those 2 notes. And then you just sort of pivot on this 4th fret, 5th string. Now, I know that some of you struggle with this. I've seen that in the comments that that's too big of a stretch, especially when we're going to transpose this and play this in F. That's a stretch. So here's a workaround. If you don't like doing the shuffle like this, you can do it like this. Here's an easy way to do it. We're just going to play the E chord and then play the A chord. And just go back and forth between those. Because that's really kind of what you're simulating here anyway. And anytime you're hanging out on a chord for an extended period of time, you can always play that chord and then play its 4 chord and go back and forth between that chord and its 4 chord. And the easiest way to find that is off this E shape, because look at this. They're right connected to each other. They're right in the same neighborhood. So if I was playing a G, there's the C. So and you don't have to do the bar either. You can play it like this. So you always eliminate excuses. If you say, I can't do it, my hand won't do that, find a way out of it. You just remember the goal isn't to do this. The goal is to just create a sound. And that sound is playing the chord and its 4 chord and alternating back and forth between them. Even if you just play 2 strings of the chord, that's enough to sort of hint at it. Okay, so from the beginning, we have this. And then we repeat it. Now watch this. Now that leads me into the 4 chord, right? And all I'm doing is hitting that 3rd fret, 1st string, pushing it sharp. Every time I hit it, I always give it a little bit of a push to the open E string. And then we're gonna play the 4 chord. And I'm doing the same little shuffle thing. I'm just up a set of strings. So now I'm on the open 5th string, and then I'm fretting the 2nd fret on the 4th string. So when we play the 4 chord, that's the lick. Now there's different ways you could do that. I think when I played it, I might have went, so I might have just kept a bar there. And if I did that, then I'm playing the A7. You can hear that that's the flat 7 of my A7. Oh, that note transforms when we're playing over the 4 chord. It means something different now, different context than what it meant over the E. So, and then we're gonna go back to the opening lick. So we just repeat that. Now we're going to come up on the 5 chord. So I'm going to do the same lick that I did on the 1st string to get to the 4 chord, but we're just going to do it now on the 2nd string because that open 2nd string is my B note and B is the 5 chord. So that's kind of how I did it. There's different ways you could play the chord, so that if that's the call, the response could be, I could shuffle it like that, or I can just strum the chord, or I can arpeggiate the chord, which is what I did. So I just played the B7, and then I played the A, right? So we go from the 5 chord back to the 4 chord, and then watch this. And that gets me back to the 1 chord. So I basically just repeated that same lick. I did a little difference just to make the timing work out. So I started that lick after I went to the A. All right, here's the 5 chord. Then we go to the A. And then right here I went. So it starts on the 3rd fret, 1st string. Push that slightly sharp. Then we do open 1, open 2. So, and then we do that little slide into pattern 2. Slide back. And then back to the 1 chord. So, now, that sounds great on its own. It's a fun blues, and if you get nothing else out of this lesson, you've got a really cool little blues with a lot of repeated licks, and you can get so much mileage out of this. Don't ever take this stuff as like being super literal. I mean, you can just to learn it, but then start getting curious with it and going like, okay, so start working in some variations on those licks. You know, you can start to kind of move it in other directions and put your own signature on it. So anyway, that's in the key of E. Now let's transpose this and play this in the key of F. And all you have to do for that is remember, I related in the beginning of this, I related it back to my E chord. And that's using the E shape. If we're thinking cage system, this is my first position E chord. Now if I were to play my F chord, I can just take that E chord, move it up, and then bar, or capo, you can think of it that way, on the 1st fret. So all I'm doing is replacing the nut, which is this white bar here on the fretboard, and putting my finger there to replace it. Now I know not everybody can play bar chords. You don't have to. This is just for a visual. This is just a visual demonstration. But we're going to be playing in the key of F. I want you to see this F chord, and then take those licks we just played. And then let's move it all up. All we did was move up, right? So same thing happens for the lick. Right? So we're now replacing the nut with my finger. And it also is going to make you see minor pentatonic scale pattern 1 in a different way. Now you're seeing, oh. Notice my finger went down on the 1st fret for each of those. And when we played an E, I had all those open strings because it was barring for me. So hopefully you're starting to make some little connections. Even if you don't know where it's going, just go with it. That's good. So if we want to transpose that and play everything that we've just learned in the key of F, that's the first little phrase. Now watch this. Now you're going to have to change your fingering a little bit. So I'm going to slide up to the 5th fret 3rd string with my ring finger, 4th fret 2nd string, and then I have to come up here with my pinky and grab the 6th fret 2nd string to hit that note because I can't use the open string anymore. But it doesn't mean I can't play the note, I just have to find it in a different spot. So we have, so I slid back down to the 3rd fret 3rd string and then, right? And now I'm barring the first 3 strings because I'm playing into that F chord. Before we went like this. We had the open, but now I have to bar there for the F. And then I can play my shuffle, just like I did for the E, but I'm gonna have to, it's a little more of a stretch now. Now you can get used to this if you work this muscle and you start really kind of stretching that pinky. When I first started playing, I couldn't do that. I didn't have the strength. Now I know not everybody can do that, so here's your workaround. Not even a full bar chord. We're just gonna play strings 4, 3, 2, and 1 of my F chord. And I'm gonna play F and then its 4 chord, which is B flat. And all I have to do is just bar there with one finger and play strings 4, 3, and 2. So it's like this. Now that's a huge takeaway, I think, probably for a lot of people, where you realize, oh, so if I'm hanging out on any chord now, if I just find the E shape, even if I can't play the bar chord, if I just play this much of it, I can do this. And I can also go. I slid into that pattern 2 of my minor pentatonic scale. Hopefully you're starting to connect all of that. So let's now play this blues in the key of F. Now we're going to the 4 chord. I can just strum the chord if I want, or I can shuffle it. To the 5 chord. And then back to the 1 chord. So now it's closed position. It's not open position anymore. We don't have to worry about those open strings. And once it's closed position like this, it's completely movable to anywhere on the fretboard. So now you can take these licks and apply them to anything. So if I wanted to play this in a different key like B flat, I just need to find my B flat note on the 6th string, which is up here. And then I can bar there. These 3 fingers are making the E shape, just like we did in first position. So now all that stuff is connected to that. My minor pentatonic scale pattern 1 is right here. So those licks that I learned in first position. So if I was playing along with a B flat jam track now, I don't have to just do standalone stuff. I can take these licks and apply them. This is how you take licks that you learn and work them in anywhere, in any sort of situation. So it's just changing the timing a little bit. And then I can go to the 4 chord. So anyway, obviously I'm changing it up a little bit, but I'm doing that I'm leaving that in just to show you that you don't have to look at it so literal. You can start kind of working your own little signature to these. And so when you come to the 5 chord, if we were in B flat, that would be my 5 chord. So I just sort of know that in this chord shape, that note is my 5 chord. That is the note of my 5 chord. And it's also where my index finger would go if I was playing this C7 chord shape. Now obviously that's an F chord, but I'm playing that C7 shape. Like, you know, C7 you learn in first position. So there's your 5 chord to your 4 chord. There's that lick, right? And it's transferable now, and you can play it in any key. All right, so if you've liked this video, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and just let me know that. If you've got questions about anything, feel free to leave a comment there as well. I read through all of them. And it's always good if you leave a comment about any sort of light bulb moments that you've had in this. You know, any sort of little connection points that you hadn't thought of before. I think it's always good to sort of read that because somebody else may not have thought about that one thing that you thought about. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, I encourage you to do that as well, and click the alert bell so you get notified when I put out new lessons. And I've been doing this for like almost 15 years now. Every Friday, I never miss. So that's what we have for this week. I'll see you next week for something new.